Here is our first math lesson of the week. Pages 127 to 129. It's kind of short, measuring quarters of an inch. And you may have done this before. Here's our boss question. Draw 3 line segments, that means short lines, 3 1/4 inches long. Then extend each one. So the first one you're going to extend to you're going to extend 1/4 inch more, and then B, you'll extend that 1 1/4 inch more. C, you'll extend it 1/2 inch more. And then your challenge is to find the total length of each line segment. If you are good at math, you might not have to draw it, or you could try it that way. Okay. So here is a number line, and we are going to have this number line represent inches. So the first part is to just label what each of these lines stands for. So halfway between 0 and 1, we would have 1/2. Halfway between 0 and 1/2, we'd have 1/4. Halfway between 1/2 and 1, we'd have 3/4. Now, another way of thinking of that is to say, okay, between 0 and 1, it's divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 1, also called 4/4. Now usually we don't say 2/4 because it's simpler to just say 1/2. Okay, so then the next part is to label these fourths. Go ahead and see if you can guess what they would be. Did I actually put them in there? I don't think I did. So here's 1 1/2, 1 1/4, 1 3/4. You could also call this 1 2/4, but a simpler way of writing it is 1 1/2. All right, so then go ahead and try labeling this next part between 2 and 3. What would go there? And hopefully you paused it. Here halfway between, we have 2 1/2. Just 1/4 past 2, we have 2 1/4. And then 1, 2, 3, we have, if you take 3 jumps after 2, we have 2 and 3/4. So hopefully this pattern will make sense. 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, 1, 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 1 3/4, 2, 2 1/4, 2 1/2, 2 3/4, 3. All right, so now we're just going to practice finding a mixed number on this kind of number line, which is meant to look a little like a ruler. So go ahead and see if you can identify where 4 1/4 is. Okay, so I'm going to start at 4. I'm going to go 1/4 over. That is 4 1/4. Here's 4 1/2. Here's 4 3/4. Here's 5. Okay, try this one. Find 6 1/2. Oh, 6 1/2. That's not on there. Should say 5 1/2. Okay, now see if you can find that. Okay, so 5 1/2 would be right here. Okay, and here's another one. Find 8 3/4. Okay, so hopefully you tried it. You're going to start at the 8, and then count quarters, 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. Here's 8 3/4. Okay, and on this number line, we're going to find 4 1/4 and also 2 3/4. So go ahead and point to that while you're watching the video. Hopefully you paused and pointed. So here I'm going to start at 4 and go 1/4 more. And then for this 2, I'll start at 2 and I'll go 3/4 more. 1, 2, 3. So there is 2 3/4. Here's 4 1/4. Okay, so the basic thing to do is start at the whole number and then count the fourths. Okay, just one last part here. I guess this is part 2. So we are going to measure lines to the nearest 1/4 inch. So I'm guessing you've probably noticed that not everything you measure will come out exactly to the measurement you want. So not everything you measure will be exactly 3 inches. Not everything you measure will even exactly be 3 1/4 inches. Sometimes the thing you're measuring might be between 2 of the 1/4 inch marks. So for this lesson, we're going to practice kind of just rounding it to the closest 1/4 inch. So here's a line for us. So here is 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. Okay, so this is between 3/4 and 1. So if we want to measure it to the nearest 1/4 inch, we kind of need to just do our best guess which one is it closer to. And to me, this looks like it's a little closer to 3/4 inch. So I'm going to say it's 3/4 inch. Okay, so here's another one. See if you can measure it to the nearest 1/4 inch. Okay, so here I have 1 1/4, 1 1/2. So it's in between there. I think it looks like it's closer to 1 1/4 inches. So that's what I would say. Okay, here's one more. Go ahead and see what you think it would be. Okay, so here we have 2 1/4, and to me it looks closer to this bigger one, 2 1/4 inch. Okay, so the only thing I guess we haven't gone over is what if something is, oops, what if something is exactly between 2 marks? Like exactly between 2 marks. Like let's say that my drawing is even more exact than it really is. And so here we had 1/2 inch and here we have 3/4 inch, and it is exactly between those. Well, what I would recommend to do is round up, because typically when we have something that's exactly between 2 numbers, we usually round it up. If you're actually measuring something real and there was a reason to round it down, you could do that. But for now, just round up if it's exactly between. All right, that is it for the lesson for today. Please try the mini boss question and please put your answer on the math document.